Setting up your first brokerage account feels like a technical step. Filling out forms, choosing a platform, clicking buttons. But in reality, it is a psychological threshold. Because the moment you open that account, you stop being a spectator and become a participant. And participation changes how you think, how you feel, and how seriously the market will test you. I've watched many people stumble, not because they chose the wrong broker, but because they treated this step casually, as if it were just another app sign-up, when in fact, it is the moment where curiosity turns into responsibility, and that shift deserves to be handled slowly and deliberately. The first thing you must decide before you look at any broker names or fee tables is what you are opening this account for. Are you investing long-term, contributing regularly, and holding through cycles, or are you planning to trade more actively? This decision matters because different account types, tools, and even psychological pressures come with each path. Many beginners open an account without answering this question, and they end up trading an investing account emotionally, or investing in a trading account impulsively. Clarity here prevents confusion later. You are not locking yourself into one identity forever. You are simply choosing a starting lane. Once your purpose is clear, the next step is choosing the type of brokerage account. For most beginners, this will be a standard individual taxable account. It is the simplest, most flexible option, and flexibility matters when you are learning. Tax-advantaged accounts like IRAs or retirement accounts are powerful tools, but they come with rules and restrictions that can amplify mistakes if you don't yet understand your behavior under stress. Starting simple gives you room to make small errors without long-term consequences. Complexity can come later when your discipline has earned it. Choosing a broker itself is less about finding the best one and more about avoiding the wrong one for your stage. As a beginner, you should prioritize reliability, simplicity, and transparency over advanced features. Look for a broker with a clean interface, strong customer support, clear fee structures, and easy access to basic assets like stocks and ETFs. Zero commissions are now common, so do not let free trading be the deciding factor. Free trades are meaningless if the platform encourages overtrading or overwhelms you with noise. A broker that makes it easy to do nothing is often better than one that makes it easy to click. Another important consideration is regulation and protection. Your broker should be properly regulated in your country and offer standard investor protections such as SIPC coverage in the US or equivalent elsewhere. Beginners often skip this step because it feels boring, but this is foundational trust. You are not just choosing software, you are choosing where your money will live. Safety is not optional, and no feature set compensates for weak protections. When it comes time to actually open the account, the process itself is straightforward but symbolic. You will provide personal information identification and banking details. This is where many beginners feel a surge of excitement or anxiety, and that emotional spike is worth noticing. It is your first real signal of how money and markets affect you. Pay attention to it. If you feel rushed, slow down. If you feel euphoric, ground yourself. Opening the account is not the start of trading. It is the start of preparation. Funding the account is the next critical step, and this is where restraint matters most. You do not need to deposit serious money to be serious. In fact, the opposite is usually true. Your first deposit should be an amount that allows you to care enough to learn, but not so much that fear or greed hijacks your decisions. Think of this capital as tuition, not income. If losing a portion of it would cause panic or sleepless nights, it is too much. Learning happens best when emotions are present but manageable. Before you place a single trade, spend time exploring the platform without acting. Learn how to view charts, place orders, cancel orders, and check account balances. Know where everything is before you need it under pressure. Many beginner mistakes happen not because of bad ideas, but because of unfamiliarity with execution. Clicking the wrong order type or misunderstanding how a trade settles is avoidable stress. Familiarity builds confidence without risking capital. One of the most overlooked steps is configuring your account to support good behavior. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Hide features you don't plan to use yet. Set default order sizes small. If the platform allows it, disable margin and leverage at the start. Margin is not a beginner tool, no matter how tempting it looks. Leverage magnifies not just profits, but mistakes, and beginners have plenty of those ahead. There is no prize for learning the hard way when the easy way is available. As you stand at this starting line, understand this clearly. Opening a brokerage account does not obligate you to trade immediately. You are allowed to wait. You are allowed to observe. You are allowed to learn slowly. The market will still be there tomorrow. Rushing into your first trade just to feel official is one of the most common early errors. Professional behavior begins with patience, not action. And this is where we need to continue next, because once the account is open, the real questions begin. What should you buy? First, how do you place your first trade without emotional overload? How do you structure that first experience so it teaches you something useful instead of scaring you or giving you false confidence? And how do you build habits from day one that protect you from the mistakes most beginners make in their first weeks? And that transition from opening an account into using it wisely is exactly where we go next, as this sentence carries forward into how to approach your first trades with intention, restraint, and a learning mindset rather than urgency and expectation. Because the way you begin often shapes how long you last. And that is the point where we continue from next. So the first trade is designed not to make money, but to teach you how you react when money is actually at risk, because that reaction will shape everything that follows, far more than the outcome of the trade itself. The biggest mistake beginners make after opening an account is trying to make it count immediately. Choosing a stock they feel strongly about, sizing it too large, and attaching emotional meaning to the result. That turns the first trade into a psychological event instead of a learning exercise. A better approach is deliberately anticlimactic. Choose something simple, liquid, and boring, a broad market ETF, or a large, well-known stock, and size it small enough that you care, but not so much that you panic. Before you click, write down 3 things. What you are buying and why in one sentence, how long you intend to hold it, and what would make you exit. This is not about being right. It is about creating a reference point for later reflection. Many beginners skip this step and then rewrite their reasons in their head after price moves. Writing fixes the truth in time. When the trade is live, your only job is to observe yourself. Do you check the price constantly? Do small fluctuations bother you? Do headlines suddenly feel more important? None of this means you are bad at investing. It means you are human. This first trade is data collection about you, not the market. Placing the order itself should be done slowly. Use a simple order. Type a market order. During liquid hours is fine for a small position, and confirm every detail before submitting. Speed has no advantage here. Once the trade is placed, resist the urge to do anything. Do not immediately look for validation. Do not open 5 articles about the stock. Let the position exist. This is where beginners learn the hardest lesson early, that once you own something, uncertainty increases, not decreases. Accepting that feeling without reacting is the first real investing skill. Over the following days or weeks, depending on your horizon review, the trade according to your plan, not according to emotion. If nothing has changed in your original reasoning, doing nothing is a valid and often correct action. If something has changed, business fundamentals, personal goals, or risk tolerance, then adjusting the position is not failure, it is responsiveness. What matters is that the decision is tied to a reason, not a feeling. This habit formed early prevents years of reactive behavior later. As you repeat this process with additional small positions, patterns will emerge. You may notice that you oversize ideas you feel excited about, or that you avoid buying after losses, or that you feel relief rather than regret when you exit. These patterns are the real curriculum of your first months. The market is teaching you how you interact with uncertainty. Your job is to listen without judgment. The goal is not to eliminate emotion, but to understand it well enough that it stops controlling your actions. Gradually, and only gradually, you can increase complexity. Add another position. Explore a different sector. Learn how dividends work. Learn how earnings affect price. But every addition should be intentional. If you add a new behavior, remove an old impulse. If you add a new tool, make sure it solves a specific problem you've already observed. This is how beginners turn learning into progress instead of chaos. What I want you to understand deeply is that there is no right first trade, only a right first process. The traders who last are not the ones who nailed their first pick. They are the ones who built calm habits early and let experience compound. The market is not impressed by how fast you act. It rewards how well you adapt over time. If this guide helped you see your first brokerage account, not as a gateway to quick profits, but as the start of a disciplined learning journey, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel so you can keep building these foundations step by step, and leave a comment sharing what you feel most nervous or excited about as you take your first steps. Because naming those feelings honestly is often the first move toward managing them instead of letting them manage you.